There is a hotel suite in the Maldives where the floor is made of glass. You can lie in bed and watch sharks move through the reef 60 feet below you. The rate for that suite is around $50,000 a night. There are resorts in Bali, Tuscany, and the Seychelles where getting to the property by private boat or helicopter is included in the price, which starts at $5,000 a night and climbs from there. The obvious question is, what are people actually buying? A bed is a bed, a massage is a massage. Even the finest thread count has a ceiling. And yet these properties fill their rooms, book their treatment tables months in advance, and generate profit margins that most industries would find extraordinary. This is not a story about excess. It is a story about a business model, one of the most carefully engineered revenue systems in modern commerce. Ultra-luxury hospitality turns scarcity, attention, and status into money. Before we can understand how these businesses make money, we need to understand what they are actually selling. And the answer is more interesting than it first appears. At the functional level, a luxury hotel provides a room, food, and sometimes a spa. That is the same thing a Holiday Inn provides. The difference is not the category of product, it is everything layered around it. Ultra-luxury hospitality is not selling a room. It is selling a controlled environment. It is selling the experience of having every variable in your world managed by someone else. Think about what ordinary life requires of you. You make decisions constantly: what to eat, where to go, how to get there, who to deal with. A luxury resort removes all of that friction. You arrive and someone already knows your name, your preferred room temperature, whether you like your pillow firm or soft, what you ordered the last time you stayed. There is no waiting, no uncertainty, no friction. The environment bends around you rather than the other way around. That feeling, the experience of the world operating at your preferences rather than against them, is the core product. And it has a psychological value that is entirely separate from the physical cost of delivering it. The suite itself might cost the hotel $300 a night to operate. The experience of total, frictionless control over your environment, that is worth something far larger to the person buying it. That gap between the cost of delivery and the value perceived by the guest is the engine at the heart of this business. Hey, it's CJ, the creator of this channel. If you want to make YouTube videos like this, but don't want to script, film, and edit on your own, topic2video.com handles everything for you. Just input your topic, choose a video length, and a full-length video about your topic will come out the other side. I know it sounds simple, but it's true. Try it for free today at topic2video.com. Now back to the video. Here is something that surprises most people when they learn it. High prices at ultra-luxury properties are not simply a reflection of high costs. They are the product itself. The guests who stay at a property charging $5,000 a night are not just buying comfort, they are buying the signal that comes with having paid $5,000 a night. For a certain category of traveler, wealthy executives, high net worth families, people for whom money is a social language, the price of a stay communicates something to their peers, to their business associates, sometimes to themselves. It confirms membership in a world that is not accessible to most people. Economists call this a Veblen good. Named after the American economist Thorstein Veblen, who wrote about the social function of expensive consumption in the 1890s, a Veblen good is something where demand actually increases as the price rises. This is because the high price is part of what makes it desirable. Lower the price and you lower the appeal. The exclusivity and the price are the same thing. This creates a pricing dynamic that is almost the inverse of normal markets. In most businesses, you charge as much as the market will bear while trying to attract as many customers as possible. Ultra-luxury properties charge enough to exclude most potential customers because exclusion is the point. An overwater villa that anyone could book if they saved long enough is not the same product as one that is simply out of reach for most people. The inaccessibility is built into what the guest is purchasing. This is why these hotels do not discount. Not just because discounting would hurt revenue, it would hurt the brand, which is far more damaging. A single well-publicized fire sale can take years to recover from because it breaks the signal. It tells the market that maybe this place is reachable, which tells the highest paying guests that it is time to find somewhere that is not. So price alone does not explain how a luxury property holds its position. A property could simply charge a lot and still feel like a disappointment. What protects the price, what gives it permanent credibility, is the brand. In luxury hospitality, a brand is not a logo. It is a promise that has been earned and maintained over time. Names like Aman, Four Seasons, Rosewood, and Belmond carry weight because they have proven repeatedly and across different locations that the experience they deliver will meet or exceed a very specific expectation. For a traveler spending thousands of dollars a night, the brand is a guarantee against the risk of disappointment. It is insurance. Building that brand takes decades and is extraordinarily expensive. Aman Resorts, one of the most prestigious names in ultra-luxury, opened its first property in Thailand in 1988 and deliberately expanded at a pace most hospitality companies would consider paralyzingly slow. As of the mid-2020s, the company operates roughly 30 properties worldwide. Marriott, by contrast, operates thousands. A man's scarcity is not a limitation, it is a design choice. Each new property is an event. Access to any one of them feels rare because it genuinely is. Four Seasons built its reputation through a different approach: rigorous service consistency. The company's founding logic was that wealthy travelers crossing the world wanted one thing above all: certainty. If a guest had a perfect stay in Singapore, they should expect an equally perfect stay in Toronto. That consistency required enormous investment in training, staffing ratios, and quality control. But it created something that competitors cannot easily replicate: trust at scale. And trust in this business is a pricing asset. Now here's the part that most people never see. The room rate, the headline number, is only the beginning. The real profit architecture of an ultra-luxury property is built on what happens after the guest arrives. The hospitality industry calls this ancillary revenue. But in the ultra-luxury tier, ancillary is not the right word because it implies something secondary. At a property charging $5,000 a night, the room might represent only half the guest's total spending during their stay. The other half comes from everything else: the restaurant, the spa, the private excursions, the wine pairing with dinner, the in-suite massage, the helicopter transfer to a neighboring island, the private chef for a family villa. Each of these is priced with the same logic as the room: high price, high margin, no apology. A spa treatment at an ultra-luxury resort might be priced at $400 or $600 when the same treatment at a standalone spa in a major city costs $150. The guests are not comparison shopping. They are inside a world that has its own pricing norms, and they have already decided to be there. The architecture behind this is deliberate. Ultra-luxury properties design their physical space and their programming to create natural moments where additional spending feels not just acceptable, but desirable. A restaurant with a commanding view and a world-class chef is not just an amenity, it is a revenue center designed to capture dinner spending that might otherwise leave the property. A spa is not just a relaxation facility, it is a high-margin business anchored to a captive audience that is already in a mood to be indulged. Staff ratios add another layer of complexity. These properties often employ 2, 3, or even 5 staff members per guest room. That sounds financially ruinous, but it is what creates the experience that commands the price. The cost of that staff is essentially built into the room rate and the overall spend model. You do not charge $5,000 a night and then offer indifferent service. The service is the product. The cost of delivering it is simply the cost of competing in this tier. One of the most effective tools in the ultra-luxury revenue model is the package, and it is worth understanding exactly why packages work so well in this context. A well-designed package bundles several components, say the room, daily breakfast, a spa credit, and a private sunset cruise, into a single price. For the guest, this feels generous and convenient. It removes the friction of individual purchase decisions and gives the stay a sense of abundance. But from the property's perspective, the package is a revenue assurance mechanism. When a guest books a package, the property locks in spending that might not have occurred otherwise. The spa credit gets used because it is already paid for, and leaving it on the table feels wasteful. The included dinner at the signature restaurant introduces the guest to a dining experience they might return to for additional nights. Each included element is chosen because it has a high likelihood of expanding the guest's overall engagement with the property's revenue centers. Packages also serve a second purpose. They make price comparison almost impossible. When a competitor charges $4,200 a night with breakfast and you charge $5,000 with breakfast, spa, and transfers, the consumer cannot do a clean apples-to-apples comparison. The bundling obscures the per-unit price of each component and makes the total feel justified by its comprehensiveness. This is not deceptive, it is genuinely valuable, but it is also strategically brilliant pricing architecture. For longer stays, the stakes get higher. A family booking a villa for a week at a resort like Amanyara in Turks and Caicos or Nihi Sumba in Indonesia might have a base villa rate of $30,000 or $40,000 for the week. But by the time they check out, with private guides, surf lessons, private dining on the beach, wine, and spa days, the total invoice might be double or triple the base rate. The property designed that outcome. Nothing was left to chance. Every instinct in conventional business says, if something is working, scale it. If your hotel is full every night and turning away guests, build more rooms. If your brand is hot, open more properties. The economics of ultra-luxury say the opposite. Scarcity is not a constraint the business is trying to escape. It is something the business works to preserve, deliberately, permanently. Consider what happens when a brand expands too fast. Guests who chose the property precisely because few people could access it suddenly find that access is less rare. The signal weakens. The crowd changes. The experience, which depends on meticulous staffing and personal attention, becomes harder to maintain across a larger operation. And once the perception of exclusivity cracks, the pricing power that justified everything begins to erode. This is why the most successful ultra-luxury brands treat their inventory as a permanently constrained resource. Aman does not flood the market. The most coveted suite at any given property might have a wait list months deep, and that wait list is itself part of the brand experience. Waiting to get in tells the guests something before they arrive. This is somewhere not everyone gets to go. The same principle applies inside the property. Most ultra-luxury resorts cap their guest count deliberately. A property with 30 suites might have the physical infrastructure to support 40 or 50. It chooses not to use it. The open space, the unhurried pace, the sense that the property belongs to you, those qualities require low density. The moment density crosses a threshold, the experience begins to feel like a hotel rather than a private world. That word, private, is worth sitting with. The most expensive properties on earth are essentially selling the feeling of privateness. Not ownership, but the experience of a space that feels tailored, unshared, and yours alone. That is extraordinarily difficult to manufacture and even harder to scale, which is exactly what makes it worth so much. The most important thing to understand about how ultra-luxury hospitality delivers its experience is that nothing is left to chance. The feeling of effortlessness is the product of enormous, invisible effort. Before a returning guest arrives, the property's staff may spend hours reviewing a detailed profile built from every previous stay, what the guest ate, what they avoided. Whether they prefer the curtains open or closed when they wake up, whether they mentioned a health concern, a celebration, or a preference for a particular type of music. This information becomes the raw material for personalizing a stay that feels spontaneous but is actually choreographed. This is called anticipatory service, the practice of meeting needs before the guest is aware they have them. It is the opposite of reactive service. In a normal hotel, you ask for something and someone brings it. In an ultra-luxury property, it appears before you ask. That shift from reactive to anticipatory requires a level of data management, staff training, and coordination that most businesses would find implausible to maintain. But it is what converts a good hotel into an experience that guests describe as transformative. Behind this is a cost structure that requires careful management. Staffing is the dominant expense, and the staff-to-guest ratios are genuinely extraordinary. A property might budget millions of dollars a year just for the team that maintains guest relations. The physical property requires constant, meticulous upkeep, not because things break, but because in this tier, imperfection is noticed. A scuff on a baseboard, a wilting flower in the lobby, a 2-second lag in a response, these are not small things. They are signals that the standard is slipping. This is the central tension of the ultra-luxury business. The experience must feel effortless and abundant, while the operation managing it must be cost-disciplined and precisely run. The general manager of an ultra-luxury resort is simultaneously running a hospitality theater and a tight financial operation. The guest sees only the former. The economics depend entirely on the latter. Spas deserve their own chapter in this story because they illustrate the economics of ultra-luxury almost perfectly. At a mass-market hotel, the spa is an amenity. It justifies a slightly higher room rate and maybe breaks even on its own. At an ultra-luxury property, the spa is a standalone, high-margin business that happens to share a property with rooms and restaurants. Here is why the margins work. The raw cost of a spa treatment, the therapist's labor, the product used, the energy to heat the room might be $60 to $80 for an hour-long massage. At an ultra-luxury resort, that same treatment is priced at $350, $450, sometimes $600. The markup is not hiding anything dishonest. The guest is paying for the room the treatment happens in, the training level of the therapist, and the quality and scarcity of the products used. They are also paying for the entire environmental context. The heated stone floor, the view of the rainforest, the silence, the perfectly calibrated temperature of the oil. They are paying for the packaging as much as the service itself. Spas at ultra-luxury properties also benefit from a captive audience in an exceptionally receptive state. Guests who have already decided to spend thousands on a room have already crossed a psychological threshold. The economists would call this a low-price sensitivity environment, meaning once you have committed to spending at this level, an additional $400 for a treatment does not feel like a large decision relative to the total spend. It feels proportional, and so it gets spent. The smartest spa operators understand this and design their service menus accordingly. A treatment at $250 anchors the price. A premium version at $500 feels like a meaningful upgrade, and a curated half-day ritual at $900 feels like the full expression of the experience. The guest who came in for one treatment leaves having purchased an arc. That arc was designed in advance. To complete the picture, we need to spend a moment with the guest because understanding what they are experiencing psychologically explains why all of this works. The people who stay at ultra-luxury properties are not uniformly billionaires. Some are. But many are high-earning professionals, successful entrepreneurs, or people who have saved and planned for a once-in-a-decade experience. What they share is not a specific net worth, it is a specific relationship to money and experience. They have reached a point where the marginal value of more money is lower than the marginal value of an exceptional experience. They are not spending recklessly. They are making a deliberate trade, money for a certain quality of time. This creates a guest who is, paradoxically, both highly demanding and highly permissive. They are demanding about quality, consistency, and personal attention. They will notice and remember a failure, but they are permissive about price. They are not looking for value in the sense of the lowest cost per unit of comfort. They are looking for value in the sense of an experience worthy of the price, and if the experience delivers, the price recedes from consciousness. Property managers and revenue strategists know this and design every touch point to maintain the experience above the threshold of the price. Because the moment the experience feels ordinary, the moment the guest catches themselves thinking this is not worth what I paid, the entire spell breaks. The room rate, the spa bill, the restaurant check all suddenly feel like an offense rather than a pleasure. That psychological flip is the existential risk of the ultra-luxury business, and preventing it is the deepest purpose of every operational decision the property makes. Pull back far enough and the pattern becomes clear. Ultra-luxury hospitality is not simply expensive. It is a system engineered from the ground up to convert scarcity, attention, and signal into durable, high-margin profit. The room rate is the foundation, set high not just to cover costs, but to communicate a status that the guest is purchasing along with the stay. The brand is the moat, built slowly and protected fiercely, because the moment it feels accessible to everyone, it becomes valuable to no one in this tier. The ancillary revenue, the spa, the restaurant, the private excursions, the packages, is the profit stack that turns a $5,000 night into an $8,000 or $12,000 total experience. And the operational discipline running beneath all of it ensures that the experience never slips below the level the price demands. Behind every effortless moment is a property that has mapped out every contingency, trained its staff to anticipate rather than react, and built a physical environment specifically designed to make leaving money feel natural and worthwhile. What makes this model so durable is its resistance to disruption. Unlike most industries, ultra-luxury hospitality does not face meaningful threat from technology, automation, or price competition. You cannot automate the feeling of being known. You cannot discount your way into a brand that has spent decades earning trust. And you cannot replicate a property that occupies a specific beach, a specific cliff face, a specific slice of landscape that exists in exactly one place on Earth. The most valuable thing a luxury property owns is often not the building, it is the location and the reputation together, a combination that cannot be manufactured or copied. So, the next time you see a hotel room priced at $5,000 a night and wonder what could possibly justify that number, the answer is everything we just walked through. Not the thread count, not the marble in the bathroom. What justifies the price is the promise that for however many nights you are there, the world will arrange itself around you. That promise, it turns out, is worth an enormous amount of money, and the businesses that can reliably keep it have built something very few industries manage to build. A model where higher prices attract better customers who spend more, who return more often, and who tell people who will do exactly the same. If you found this breakdown useful, subscribe. We cover the economics behind the things that shape money and power, and there is a lot more of this world left to decode. Hey, it's CJ. Before you go, I want to tell you something personal. I worked really hard to try to make money on YouTube, and I finally found a way. This video right here was made with a tool I created called topic2video.com. I made all of the videos on this channel with this tool. It creates long-form YouTube videos from just a topic or idea. I want to help people drive traffic to their business with faceless YouTube videos. If you're serious about building a business with YouTube, I want you to try my software. Your first video is free. Go to topic2video.com and try it now. I'll see you in the next one.